What is going on, Lucid fans? Welcome back to Financial Journey. It's been one hell of a week for Lucid investors, but I want to break it down. What is plaguing Lucid? And of that, what is short-term issues, what's long-term issues, and what's investors really to take away from all of that? I also want to share with you generally what this was, more so the last 10 minutes of the trading day on Friday, and something positive that is coming out for Europe. So I'm going to go over all the stuff that you need to know. Make sure you guys hit that thumbs up and subscribe. Always greatly appreciated. And with that, let's get right to it. So when it comes down to what is plaguing Lucid, there's quite a lot of things. One of which, and more recently, is good old Elon. So Elon and Lucid, unfortunately, don't necessarily always see eye to eye on a lot of things, but he does basically say that both Lucid and also Rivian are on the path for bankruptcy unless they change significantly their business model and things like that. So when it comes down to it, he's looking at their financials. Of course, their financials are very much negative right now, but that is also because they're building a very complex facility in order for them to push out a lot of vehicles. So again, it's one of those things that investors need to realize that it is a little bit more of a longer term issue, possibly, because for them to obviously do this and then translate and move over to the Saudi Arabia facility and have that full force, or even doing both at once, let alone, that's going to be very, very costly. And unfortunately, it is going to hurt their balance sheet. And this is why, unfortunately, as well, Peter has said that they're going to be doing a lot of dilution. So this is also what is plaguing Lucid behind the scenes, is just a lot of dilution. And this is all known information. So what Elon is bringing up and what he does pretty much enlighten us is all been very known stuff for a very long time. So even more so, I did a video, didn't really get the best feedback in reality, but bearish videos don't usually. But again, I did bring up 3 red flags that investors really needed to be aware of when it comes down to Lucid. And basically everything that Elon has said, in addition to a couple other points, is very much been known stuff. So like I said, Elon isn't necessarily causing Lucid to go down. He's just bringing light to a lot of the known facts. So that's just my own interpretation, of course. But another thing is when it comes down to this, so leaked emails. And once again, this is exactly one of my 3 points I did bring up that was a little bit more of a red flag. And I did this roughly about 3 weeks ago. So it's been known information if you did in fact piece everything together. So once again, it's a little bit more of an issue. So when it comes down to this point, this is a short-term issue. The fact that right now the lack of demand isn't necessarily there for instance, the Air Grand Touring, then yeah, it is what it is. This is why the advisors are calling customers or people who canceled orders 14 times or possibly more, trying to get them to go back on their order. It's a little bit more desperate, and it does suck because it goes to show that Lucid is being very much pressured into getting sales. And I don't think that is the right move for Lucid. Lucid should be able to sell its own products. Its own products should actually be selling themselves based on just the look, the performance, everything. So I think this is possibly a wrong move, but keep in mind, Lucid is a newer company. They're trying to find their niche. Although they do really want to be a luxury brand, it goes to show that they're right now, given the market conditions, people just want a lower price vehicle. And I think they've known that since Q1 of 2022, when majority of the orders and reservations are in fact for the Pure. So the market wants a lower price vehicle. All the other stats for a lot of other EVs out there during Q3 all went up. So clearly lower priced vehicles are doing very well despite the economic conditions. Unfortunately, that can't be said for Lucid. So in general though, this is a short-term issue. That is because, like I said, Lucid is trying to find what works, what doesn't work. And I think that is a very good part of a good company, is learning from your mistakes. So in general, I think this encompasses what is plaguing Lucid as of right now. So mostly the amount of money that they're burning, but in reality, I think it is fairly acceptable because coming from an investor standpoint, I don't think I would ever want them to cancel, for instance, the Saudi Arabia facility to try and make their balance sheet look a little bit better. So it's one of those short-term issues that's going to benefit greatly in the long term. But of course, let me know your thoughts on that. And when it comes down to it though, I don't think this is really affecting Lucid's stock price itself, but it's just a very bad image. And so when insiders do sell, for various reasons, it's not usually the best sign. But once again, there's a lot of different purposes for selling. So as you can see, a lot of insiders did recently sell some shares, but it's code F, so it's for tax purposes. So once again, on paper, if you do see, for instance, Peter did sell recently $466,000 worth of stock, that could be seen as negative. But of course, that is code F, so it's a little bit more understandable. But Michael Bell recently did sell out of his own money and his own pocket, so it wasn't allocated for taxes or anything like that. He sold $13,000 worth of stock. So once again, $13,000 is just a drop in the bucket, but it goes to show a little bit more of a greater problem. And when it comes to it, I've covered quite a few companies as well, one of which is 𝗖𝗧, and their CEO buys the hell out of his company. Not since July, give or take, but he's bought a lot of stock out of his own money and using his own money, so nothing given by the company. So it goes to show that a company and a CEO that does do that just has a little bit more of a positive sentiment, a little bit more of a positive belief in the company. And unfortunately, coming from an investor myself, I personally don't like to see Peter just constantly selling, even if it is just for tax purposes. Take advantage of these discounted prices. Imagine if Peter did buy, for instance, at like $8 or whatever it might be. Imagine what would happen to the stock price. It would go to show that we are near the bottom, that he believes that this is a very good time to buy. And looking here, so the only time that any insiders have actually been purchased or buy any shares, it's been allocated or given to them by the company. So none of the insiders have outright purchased any shares, and that isn't necessarily what I want to see. So Peter's gone through a lot of selling, all for tax purposes, but once again, he's very highly paid. And I think in general, it's been a little bit more criticized on how much he does get paid versus what Lucid does offer. I think in general, it'd be very good for the company if he did actually buy shares out of his own pocket. So once again, this isn't necessarily directly affecting the price. It just goes to show that it doesn't have any positive sentiment to it. And I think retail investors are looking for some reason and some justification to buy Lucid. And I think this is a little bit more of a bigger systemic problem. It's just the insiders not really showing a big belief in the company. My own interpretation, of course, I could be wrong about this point, and like I said, it's not necessarily affecting the stock price, but there's a lot of other things such as institutions, and recently I already did bring this up, but Bank of America is saying basically to sell all the equities and stocks and things like that ahead of 2023. JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs, I believe, say the exact same thing as what Bank of America. Morgan Stanley recently came out, so a lot of big institutions are all saying sell, and most likely as well BlackRock, because of a lot of the issues that they are having, did recently sell roughly about $250 million of Lucid. But of course, we won't be able to verify that until the latest round of 13Fs, so that'll be around February, give or take. But clearly there's just a bigger problem in the economy right now. So Lucid is stuck between a rock and a hard place right now. So I think in general, you have to think long term. I've been saying that for a while. Short term has been really painful for investors, but when coming from an investor standpoint, you have to think long term. What is Lucid going to be doing in 2024 or possibly even longer? So I think that's just a different mentality that you have to encompass in your mind. So when it comes to it though, there was some positive news that did come out of Europe that might potentially help sales out there. And so as you can see right here, Lucid Air did get 5 stars for their Euro NCAP 2022 results. And if you have a question, what does NCAP mean? It is the European New Car Assessment Program. So when it comes down to that aspect, it's not necessarily needed by any means. It's just more of a addition. So for them to sell, now they can say they have a safety rating of 5 stars. So as you can see right here, it has all the results, latest being the Lucid Air, and it goes to show the breakdown. So adult occupant is 90%. I'm not really sure what these percentages mean, but child occupant 91%, vulnerable road users is 78%, and safety assist is 84%. So once again, I'm not really sure exactly what these percentages mean, but regardless, we got 5 stars. So when they are selling, they can say they have a 5-star safety rating. So like I said, it's not necessarily required, but with Lucid really ramping up in Europe, I think this is only going to help in the long term. So let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. But like I said, when it comes down to what happened in the last 10 minutes on Friday, I want to address this. And luckily enough, this is actually pretty easy. So as you can see, a huge amount of volume did go up, caused us to go up very, very much so. And so as you can see, looking at shorts, so obviously you can know where I'm going with this. Short score is 85. So higher the number, the higher the likelihood of a squeeze happening. Utilization is 100%, showing 100% of the available shares to short are currently out. And on Friday, shorts did return 785.43 thousand shares. So that's pretty good in the grand scheme of things. As you can see right here on this chart, it does go to show that right here, exactly the last 10 or 15 minutes before of the trading day, there was roughly about 7, it looks like, million shares that was returned. So once again, if you guys aren't familiar with that, when someone is, or a short is returning their shares, they're buying it back. So clearly a short out there was not very much into holding Lucid over the weekend. So I see that as a positive sign. Let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. Shorts are definitely taking advantage of all this fear like I brought up, but like I said, it's just short-term stuff. If you find a significant discount in Lucid, such as myself, then take advantage. I'm not a financial advisor though, but even I did go on a recent trip to England, so my apologies for not maintaining my daily Lucid videos. But even myself though, I landed in Heathrow. First thing I did, connected to Wi-Fi, saw that Lucid was going down a significant amount, opened up the laptop and I purchased 500 more shares at, I believe it was initially $8.65. And then the following day, I think on Thursday or something like that, once again, I looked at it and I bought another 200 or 300 shares at $8.28. So if you believe in Lucid as much as myself, or even in the long term, because I have a long-term mentality with Lucid, take advantage of these discounted prices, whether they are actually in fact because of Elon or just a lot of other things like I did bring up, or possibly on a side note, if I did miss any other aspects of Lucid on why it might be going down, let me know in the comments below. But I feel like I did generally touch on a lot of the main points as well. But if you do believe in Lucid, just continue to buy or average down, take advantage of these discounted prices. So let me know your thoughts on all of that in the comments below. If you haven't already, hit that thumbs up and subscribe, always greatly appreciated. If you do like my channel and want to support the growth, take a look at my memberships, link in the description below, or just hit the join button at the bottom of the screen. With that said, appreciate you guys watching. Let's all make a lot of money on Lucid.